The stars outside the ship's window shined like cold fire. Commander Ryan Cave stood silently on the deck of the Argos I, Earth's top diplomatic cruiser. His hands were behind his back, his posture firm, but his mind was racing. They were finally here, Varela Prime, the heart of the Galactic Council. The massive space station orbited a bright blue planet. Its shining metal rings spun slowly, reflecting the light of a distant sun. Around it, dozens of other ships from different worlds floated in tight formation. Some were sleek and silver, others looked like flying stones or glowing orbs. This was where the future of Earth would be decided. "Commander," said a soft voice. Ryan turned. It was Jalen, his aide. "We're ready to dock. The Council has granted us access to the primary hall." "Good," Ryan said. His voice was calm, steady. "Let's keep our heads high. We've come too far to look weak now." He followed Jalen through the ship. Other members of Earth's delegation were already in uniform, standing straight. There were 15 of them. Scientists, diplomats, advisors. Ryan was the youngest, but the leader. He had earned his place through discipline and a sharp mind. The docking bay opened with a loud hiss. Warm light poured in as they stepped onto the station. Alien guards stood nearby. Tall, four-armed beings with smooth green skin. They didn't speak, only scanned them one by one with glowing devices. The welcome hall was massive. The ceiling stretched high above, filled with floating lights and banners from hundreds of worlds. The air smelled like metal and strange spices. Ryan kept his eyes forward. A group of council members waited at the end of the hall. At the center stood Chancellor Virex, leader of the Ethics Division. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and dark robes. His eyes were sharp and unreadable. "Commander Cade," Virex said, his voice deep and smooth. "Welcome to Varela Prime. We are pleased to see Earth return for talks." "Chancellor," Ryan replied with a nod. "Earth is ready to join the High Council, as agreed. We come in peace, and with expectations." Virex gave a small smile, one that didn't reach his eyes. "Of course, this cycle's talks will be important. Many eyes are watching." Ryan understood the message behind the words. Don't make trouble. Don't push too far. Later, in their assigned quarters, Jalen handed Ryan a datapad with the upcoming schedule. "Tomorrow we begin with the General Assembly," Jalen said. "Then smaller meetings with security and ethics divisions." Ryan scanned the details. His gut tightened. Something felt off. The council had never moved this fast. Usually, talks took weeks. Now everything was being rushed. "Keep your eyes open," he told Jalen. "Watch their tone. Watch what they don't say." "Yes, Commander." That night, as Ryan looked out of the station's large observation window, he thought about Earth. About the cities rising higher than clouds. About the oceans, the forests, the people waiting for news, for hope. This mission was more than politics. It was about Earth's future. About whether humanity would stand as equals or be controlled by fear and power. As the stars turned slowly in the sky, Ryan made a silent vow. We didn't come all this way to kneel. The next morning began quietly, but Ryan Cade felt a storm brewing. He stood before a mirror in his quarters, fastening the high collar of his black diplomatic uniform. The Earth emblem, a silver and blue globe, shined over his chest. He took one last look at himself, then stepped into the hallway. Outside, Jalen was already waiting. "The General Assembly begins in 30 minutes, he said. "We'll be meeting with representatives from the Security Division first." "Any updates from Command on Earth?" Ryan asked. "Just a message. Trust no one fully. Move carefully." Ryan gave a tight nod. He already was. They walked to the central chamber, where beings of all shapes and sizes gathered. Some floated, some crawled, some shimmered like mist. The room buzzed with voices, smells, and lights. Massive screens showed live feeds from across the galaxy. Wars ending, planets rebuilding, treaties signed. Earth's seat was near the edge. Not in the center. Not yet. The first few hours were filled with polite words and official reports. Trade numbers, peacekeeping updates, plans for expansion. Then came the private meeting with the ethics division. Only a few were allowed in. Ryan, Jalen, and 2 Earth advisors entered a quiet, windowless room. At the far end sat Chancellor Virex and 3 other high-ranking council members. The walls were smooth and white. No cameras, no guards, just silence. Earth's request for a high council seat is being taken seriously, Virex said. However, there are safety concerns. What kind of concerns? Ryan asked. Virex tapped a control pad. A small screen lit up between them, showing a short document. Ryan leaned in. At first, it looked like normal security policy. Background checks, identity tags, communication rules. But then he saw something that made his jaw tighten. Surveillance implants, location trackers, and live feed recorders, to be placed inside all Earth diplomats. Disguised under technical terms, quietly written in, approved without debate. Ryan kept his face calm. This is new, he said quietly. It is standard for volatile species entering deeper alliance ranks. Virex replied. It allows us to ensure peace, to protect all parties, including your own. Ryan looked at him. So you want to place devices inside us, without our consent? Virex gave a small nod. You call it surveillance. We call it stability. Ryan stood up. This is not peace. This is control. The room went still. Virex's smile faded. I hope you will think carefully before responding emotionally. Earth has much to gain, and much to lose. Ryan left the room without another word. His steps were slow, but his heart pounded in his chest. Back in their quarters, he threw the datapad onto the table. They want to tag us like animals, he said. They want to own us. Jalen was silent for a moment. If we refuse, they'll block the vote. Maybe worse. Ryan stared at the screen showing Earth's flag above the station. They think we'll stay silent, that we want a seat so badly we'll accept anything. He turned to Jalen. They're wrong. That night, Ryan didn't sleep. He wrote his message to the council. Not a protest, a decision, a statement that would change everything. The council hall was packed. Delegates from over 300 species filled the wide, circular chamber. Floating platforms moved silently through the air, carrying speakers to the center stage. Lights flickered softly across walls covered in star maps and alliance emblems. The ceiling opened to the stars above, reminding everyone why they were here. Peace across the galaxy. Commander Ryan Cade stood with the Earth delegation on their assigned platform near the edge. His face was calm, but inside, he was ready for what had to be done. Jalen leaned closer. Still time to back down. No, Ryan said simply. If we give in now, we'll never stand free again. Today was the final vote. If Earth accepted the Council's full terms, including the surveillance implants, they would get a permanent seat on the High Council, a seat with power, protection, and voice. But at what cost? Chancellor Virex floated to the center of the chamber on his sleek black platform. His gray robe shimmered under the lights. He raised a hand. The Council will now finalize its decision regarding Earth's integration into the High Council, Virex announced. May we proceed with the vote. Dozens of platforms hovered forward. Lights blinked green in approval. The screen above showed the count rising. Then Ryan tapped his panel. His platform moved toward the center. Murmurs broke out around the room. Ryan stood tall. Before the vote continues, he said, Earth has a final statement. Virex narrowed his eyes but said nothing. Ryan's voice echoed clearly. We came here in peace. We came here ready to share, to learn, and to grow with the rest of the galaxy. But we will not trade our freedom for a seat at the table. The room fell silent. We have reviewed your security protocol, he continued. We know about the implants, the trackers, The surveillance inside our bodies. We do not accept that. Some delegates looked shocked. Others glanced nervously at their neighbors. We are not enemies, Ryan said. But if this is what it means to be part of the High Council, constant monitoring, no privacy, no trust, then we cannot join you. Virex spoke coldly. You refuse the terms. We refuse the chains, Ryan said. He tapped his pad again. The Earth platform began to move back. All 15 Earth delegates stood with him and followed. Their movements were slow, but steady. Their faces serious. Gasps filled the air. Then shouts. Some called out for them to stop. Others whispered in strange tongues. A few delegates applauded quietly. Virex's voice echoed one last time. Let the record show. Earth has withdrawn from the vote. All privileges are suspended until further notice. Ryan didn't turn back. As they returned to their quarters, the station buzzed with activity. News feeds lit up. Earth walks out. Crisis in the council. Humans reject control. Back in the room, Jalen closed the door. That was bold, he said softly. Now what? Ryan stared at the floor for a moment. Then he looked up. Now we stand on our own. And we prepare for what comes next. He knew the council wouldn't let this go easily, and he knew Chancellor Virex was only getting started. Alarms didn't ring, but the pressure in the air felt like one. Ryan Cade sat in silence in the Earth delegation's private quarters. The news of the walkout had already gone far beyond the council chambers. Every corner of the galaxy was now watching. A news screen on the wall flashed bold headlines in multiple alien languages. Earth rejects council authority. Humans withdraw from High Council vote. Tensions rise on Varela Prime. Jalen stood nearby, arms crossed. They're calling us reckless, arrogant, dangerous. Ryan nodded slowly. That was always the risk. Just then, the station's internal alert chimed. A new message came through, marked urgent. Jalen opened it. From Earth Command, he said. They want to know your plan. Ryan looked up. Tell them we stand firm. No deals. No implants. Not now. Not ever. He paused. And prepare for blowback. The blowback came quickly. Later that day, Chancellor Virex held a press meeting. His message was calm but sharp. Earth's decision, he said, shows why they are not ready for High Council membership. We offered peace. They chose rebellion. For the safety of the galaxy, Earth must now be treated as an unstable and unpredictable member. Behind him, several alien leaders stood in agreement. Not all, but enough to send a message. That evening, an emergency meeting was called. Ryan wasn't invited. No humans were. He stood at the window, watching smaller ships come and go from the docking ring. Some kept their distance from the Earth cruiser now. They're isolating us, Jalen said quietly. No more shared data. No contact from the ethics division. Even food supply shipments have been paused. Ryan didn't answer right away. His thoughts were racing. Virex was moving fast, using the Council's fear to cut Earth off. And fear worked faster than facts. We need to show them who Virex really is, Ryan said finally. We need proof. Something they can't ignore. He pulled up the document he had seen during the private meeting. The surveillance protocol. He scrolled deeper than before, past the public-facing summary, into the encrypted layers. Lines of text, technical but clear. Test Phase 1. Human Delegate Compliance Tracking. Test Phase 2. Remote Command Override. He froze. Override? Jalen asked, reading over his shoulder. They weren't just going to track us, Ryan said. They planned to control us, move us, silence us, like machines. Jalen's eyes widened. This isn't security. It's slavery. Ryan copied the files to a secure drive. We're sending this to the few friends we still have on the council. Quietly, carefully. That night, messages were sent in secret. A retired diplomat from the auxiliary system. a young scientist from the Olan sphere, a warrior from the desert world of Thorun. All had once shown Earth kindness. All had reasons to distrust Virex. Within hours, responses trickled in. One reply stood out. "Meet me. I have more." Ryan looked out at the dark stars beyond the window. The council thought Earth would break, but Earth was only just beginning to rise. The meeting place was deep within the station's lower levels, a quiet maintenance bay far from the polished halls of the council chambers. No guards, no cameras, just shadows and silence. Ryan Cade moved carefully through the narrow corridor. Jalen followed close behind, watching their path. Both wore plain, dark clothes instead of their usual uniforms. This was not an official meeting. This was something else. A door opened ahead. Inside stood Tarn Vel, a diplomat from the auxiliary system. His skin was smooth and silver blue, and his eyes glowed faintly in the dark. "You came," Tarn said softly. "You said you had more," Ryan replied. Tarn nodded. "You were right to walk out, Commander. Virex has gone too far. I've seen the reports, the internal memos. He's been planning this for years." He handed Ryan a small crystal chip. "Everything's in here." The implants were only the start. Ryan plugged the chip into his portable scanner. Files opened, dozens of them. One file caught his eye. Project Silence Protocol. Target: Earth. He opened it. Inside were detailed plans for long-term monitoring, behavioral prediction models, and even emergency lockdown commands tied to human biology. "They weren't just going to watch us," Jalen said. "They were going to control our choices, shut us down if we stepped out of line." Tard nodded. "Virex sees Earth as unstable, dangerous. He believes your freedom is a threat to galactic peace, so he created a plan to control you from the inside out." Ryan's jaw tightened, and the rest of the council. Some know, some don't. Most just look away. They think peace means silence, obedience. Ryan looked up. It's time they see the truth. Back in their quarters, Ryan sent out a secure message to key council members, the ones who had doubts, the ones who had questions. He attached the documents from the chip and wrote a single line. "This is what you are allowing." Hours passed. Then, one by one, replies came in. From the warrior in Thorun, "This is not the way of justice." From the scientist in the Olan sphere, "I will speak out." From a council elder who had not spoken in years, "I warned them. Now they will listen." A shift was beginning. Small, but real. Ryan stood by the window, watching a council security ship pass by. He knew Virex would strike back. The Chancellor wouldn't stay silent. Sure enough, a new message appeared on the public screens that evening. "The Earth delegation has broken protocol," Virex said. "They have spread false information, stolen classified files, and violated trust. They are to be confined to their quarters until further notice." The door to Ryan's quarters locked with a click. Alarms didn't sound, but the message was clear. "You are now prisoners." Ryan turned to Jalen. "Let them lock the doors. The truth is already out." The lights outside flickered. Messages were spreading. Whispers were turning into voices. Silence was turning into action. And Virex was losing control. The room was quiet, but Ryan Cade's mind was alive. The door to their quarters was still locked. Two guards stood outside, watching silently. No one from the council had contacted them since the lockdown order. But Ryan knew change was coming. The truth was out now, spreading faster than fear. Jalen paced the floor. "They can't ignore this forever." "They won't," Ryan said, standing by the console. "The galaxy has eyes. The council can't hide behind lies anymore." Suddenly, the console lit up. A new message blinked across the screen. Sender: Council Member Aerovex, Thorun Delegate. Subject: Emergency session called. Motion against Virex. Ryan opened the file. Aerovex's voice came through clearly. The motion is active. Enough members have seen the files. They know what he planned. They're calling for a vote. Virex is being investigated. Ryan let out a slow breath. It was happening. Moments later, the door to their quarters slid open. 2 new guards stood outside. Different uniforms, silver and blue. "You're free to move," one said. "The council has lifted the order. You've been summoned to speak." Ryan nodded. "Let's finish this." The Grand Council Hall felt different now. Quiet, tense, focused. No noise, no polite greetings. Delegates stared as Ryan and Jalen walked in. This time, no one looked down on them. Everyone was waiting. At the center, Chancellor Virex stood alone. He didn't smile this time. He looked tired, his face drawn tight. Ryan stepped onto the main platform and faced the crowd. "You all know what was planned," he said clearly. "It's in the files. The implants, the override controls, the system built not for peace, but for control." He paused, letting the words settle. "Earth may be young, we may be loud, but we came here in peace. We offered trust, and we were answered with chains." Some delegates nodded. Others remained still. Ryan continued, "This is no longer just about Earth. If one voice can be silenced, any voice can be. If you let fear choose your leaders, you lose the future." He stepped back. Aerovex rose next. He spoke simply. "We move to suspend Chancellor Virex and begin full investigation." The hall went quiet. Then the vote began. One by one, lights blinked across the chamber. Red for no, green for yes, green, green, green. More and more. The final count appeared on the central screen. Yes, 218. No, 63. Virex said nothing as guards stepped forward. He turned once toward Ryan, his eyes cold. Then he was led out. Later, in a private room, Aerovex met with Ryan. "The council has changed," Aero said, "because you didn't stay silent." Ryan looked out the window, down at the bright curve of Varela Prime. He felt a strange calm. "We're not asking for control," he said. "Just a fair seat. A voice. Nothing more." "And you'll have it," Aero said. "The next vote will be fair. No tricks. No chains." Jalen entered with a small smile. "Earth Command sends congratulations. They say history was made today." Ryan nodded. "It's not over, but it's a start." He walked to the large window again and stared out at the stars. They looked the same, but the galaxy had changed. No more silence. No more fear. Just truth and a new beginning.